he's watching is a brand new found footage movie, I guess. Not really, not at all. But it is done in the style of found footage, but breaks pretty much every law found footage has.
I don't even know if you should call it found footage, because when you put the label found footage onto a film, you think of very specific things and very specific rules, even if it's like a mockumentary style found footage or whatever. And this is not that. It uses found footage as a style for the film, and it does have a plot purpose for why it's found footage style. But we were very, very confused in the beginning. Actually, really the whole movie, we were really confused 100%. Because in our brains, we were having a very difficult time disconnecting the found footage element.
Absolutely.
Because it is, like, you use found footage, you use that style to tell a specific story. Yeah. It's like there's a character, there's somebody who's filming, and that person is either somebody that you know related, that we're connected to, or somebody that you don't know, that you want to figure out who it is. And this film just like threw all of it out the window.
So a synopsis here is a pair of happy-go-lucky siblings. Not the case. They're not happy-go-lucky.
They're happy-go-lucky in the beginning. In the beginning, for
they
sure.
They really don't like each other all that much. And they don't seem all that happy-go-lucky to me. But there is moments like that. Doesn't matter. We'll just say that's what's true. You seem to think it is. Left alone while their parents recover from an illness, play a series of pranks on each other. The games become nightmarish when they realize something sinister is watching them and it wants to play too. Basically, this movie plays out like someone's nightmare that is being documented on handheld cameras within that dream that don't have to adhere to any laws of reality, where a camera can be right in front of you and you don't see it. A camera can be filming your phone as you're watching a video. A camera can move through walls. Like the whole film is shot found footage style. Now they give a sort of explanation. You say it ties in. It's a sort of explanation for why this film has been filmed this way. So they do kind of address it. But with this film, last thing, then you can say whatever you want, is this is one of those films, though, that I'm always saying that I rather exist than something else. Mm-hmm. We watched, something like Audition or something that does stick more traditional. It's even though there is some untraditional things in there. Sure. So maybe that's not the best example. The one in the asylum, the French one, where the girl goes in with the guy. Night Shot. So Night Shot is more traditional, right? They don't break any of the rules there, but everything is generic as fuck, and you don't really have much to report back on except for one cool sequence of a dead body. Now with this one, this is the thing I'm always talking about. Like, I would rather a film take risks, be new, try something different, all that kind of stuff, and me dislike it, than be generic and me be okay with it in the end. So I respect that this film was made in the way that it was, and obviously this was a COVID film. This was made by a filmmaker who actually did a film. A film called, I think, Don't Let Go. Isn't that what it was? Don't Let Go, which I did review on the channel. Pretty, not big budget, but definitely a studio movie that was decent. Kind of a sci-fi horror thriller thing. And he also wrote Rings, the sequel to Ring. A lot of people didn't like that movie. I actually think it's alright. But so this guy's, this is not nobody. This is not some, dad with his kids who's just like, fuck it, like the Addams Family, sure, who made that movie recently, Hellbender. Mm-hmm. And they've made another movie before that. But, it's not just some, small nobody family who's never made anything before and they're just like, fuck it, we made a movie during quarantine. This is a guy who's had some major Hollywood success, more than I have, that's for damn sure. And he was able to do this with his children and his I think his wife as well. So that's cool. I mean, they made a fucking feature film, him and his children wrote this movie,
yes,
and he directed it. And it's very fourth wall breaking because they're their own selves in that, and he's a director in the film, even though he's not really ever shown. They did make this during quarantine together, and it is taking risks, and it even says in the credits, you might have hated this movie, but
don't blame the kids.
Don't blame the
kids. Choice or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So even though they wrote the movie, so I'm not sure who I'm supposed to blame. But yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Well, no, I think that this movie, I actually find it very inspirational. Because, it is something where it's like a family filming things together. I think that it actually does have a lot of really cool shots and imagery, and I was super into the like surreal nightmare vibe and like the where is everybody thing that was going on. All of that I really love, and I think that, the fact that the director has made other things that have gotten, some attention, like it translates in the film, like there's some really interesting shots, and the cinematography was cool. The part that really, I think my main problem, I guess I would call it, is just that I was confused.
The movie makes
it's very
little sense.
Artsy. It's very artsy, but I do think that it's not like Mad God level of confusing, at least for me. I think that the fact that it's filmed during quarantine and COVID, and that the parents, there's like some news bulletins that are going on that are, only adults are infected, and there's some commentary about paranoia, which is what I was going to say when you were talking about the camera, and how that breaks through all these different traditional ways of filming found footage. There's an explanation given in the context of the story for why it's doing that is like a loose explanation, but then also I think that the symbolism of the camera moving and following you around and being like right in front of you and you're not seeing it obviously ties into the paranoia, which again with COVID, I mean, so many people had that fear of other people, because you didn't want to get sick.
Yeah. Right?
And obviously that's a huge parallel in this film. So I like a lot of it. I like the relationship between the brother and sister. Since they are related, I think that that's really clear. Like their acting together felt supernatural to me. Not supernatural, but like very natural. And I really liked their dynamic. And even when they start fighting and stuff, it just was like, yeah, that's a brother and sister fighting. And like they're having that cabin fever going on where they're just cooped up together and waiting for their parents. And like, where is everybody else? Is this actually happening?
Yeah.
All of that I was super into, but I was just very confused when I was trying to follow it from like a really linear and traditional storytelling perspective, and it's not that. It is art house. It is surrealism for surrealism's sake at times, and the nightmare fuel is definitely there. But overall, like when I think about it, there's more that I like than I dislike. It's kind of like there's just a lot of very, very neat shots that I think were really clever, and for something that did you look up the budget? I don't remember if we saw, but it's clearly got very low budget, but there's a lot of effective scares, in there. And, moments where you're like, what is that back there? And just, so I don't know. I guess like the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm really liking the film, but I did find it very confusing. So it's a weird one for me. It's
a super confusing movie. And, I think this is definitely going to be one of those films that is going to have its audience 1,000%. You will find people who are big on this one. But more people than not are going to detest this film.
Yeah, and it's
because it's uber confusing. And I don't have an explanation. You can't really explain the film. It's more like symbolic, metaphorical or something. Like, you can't take this film at face value and try to interpret it in that way, right? Like, even just small stuff of like, they can't go out of the house. They've been in it for weeks. They say they've been in it for weeks. And somehow the kid is pulling fresh strawberries out of the refrigerator.
Right.
No. Strawberries go bad very quickly. Yeah. Where the fuck are they getting fresh strawberries? Right.
And those things are like intentionally just kind of glossed over.
Sure.
Because it is like you're not supposed to really take anything super literally.
And you can't. There's so many things in this film where you're like, what? What the fuck does that mean?
I know.
And what is this?
And I even said too that I think that because it's a family filming it, like I do think that there's some really personal elements that are in there, which again, like I find that really like inspirational, and I respect that because this is again like above all like an art project, and I think that's super cool. You know, that you get a family together and you're working on, you know, something like this and putting in all these elements that have meaning to you as a family unit that maybe the outside audience is just not going to understand, and to put it out there and, you know, not really care. Like there's something to that, but it's also difficult when your like audience is going to be isolated from enjoying the film because they don't understand. So it's like you said, there will be people that love it, and then there will definitely be people that just hate it and don't get it.
If you like surreal films, or if you like found footage films and you're okay with it breaking the rules and being very confusing and just trying to kind of figure out the mystery of what's going on, then it probably is worth a look. If those things don't sound appealing to you, then definitely don't check it out. Did I like the film? I don't know. I'm going to say probably on the side of no, but I respect the film, and I think there's some really cool things going on in it. Overall, I found it to be way too confusing, and not in a good way, where it's ambiguous and it's symbolic for this and that, and I could break those things down and come up with this and that. This is a film. I think with a film like this, there's one thing to always consider. Is the film engaging and interesting enough for you to want to go back in for a second or third watch to dissect it? For me, the answer on this one is no. So if in a film like this, it asks of you multiple watches. You just need them to try to figure out the mystery of what's going on. But the film has to be engaging and interesting enough for you to want to go back. So if you're making this kind of film, you are failing if the viewer doesn't want to go back for a second time, because it needs a second viewing or a third viewing to be like, okay, I want to watch this thing again, but I'm not compelled enough to watch this again. I'm just kind of like, I didn't get it. I thought there were some cool things going on, cool ideas, and if there is a mystery in there that I could figure out on multiple viewings, I don't want to do it. So to me, that shows that I don't like the movie enough to go back and to give it its full, investigation or whatever that it's asking for it to be done. Because I think this is that kind of film where it has to be done, right? So to me, no. But I'm not gonna say don't watch it, because it's interesting and it might be your kind of film.
I think it's a film you should watch. I think that this is one of those movies that it like pushes boundaries on people and what they would think of.
Oh, so many people are gonna hate this movie.
So
I'm not recommending it, but you should know who you are.
I'm recommending it for people who know who they are.
Yes.
I think if you are okay with films like Mad God or The Evil Within, or like, even like, Lynch's new, like the new Twin Peaks, like that kind of surrealism where you're just kind of like, I think I could get it, but maybe I don't.
Yeah.
I think you'll like it, but I do honestly think that just from a filmmaking perspective, there's some really cool shots. And, with the found footage, like it's a very unique take on it. And I like the idea of like using technology in this like new, it just having technology be involved with horror in any way. And I think that this is a very interesting way to look at found footage and, a paranormal aspect with film itself and with like our phones and, cameras like that.
Yeah.
So I'm recommending it. You should watch it. You should push your boundaries. You should give it a try. You should support weird horror movies.
Sure.
And new concepts. And you should support small projects as well, and family made things for sure.
But if you don't like it,
do
you think you should support it? Like, shouldn't you support things that you want to see more of?
Yes. So if you want to see more of that kind of stuff, support it. But if you don't, then don't watch it.
But of course you don't know until you see it. Go watch Shark Bait. I don't know. Don't watch Shark Bait.
Don't watch. Watch whatever you want.
But I think it's very cool that a father and his family were able to do something in quarantine, because I sure as fuck didn't. So I'm just being a jealous loser. But congrats to the family for getting a project like this done. It's very ambitious and inspiring, as she said. So even if I didn't fully get the movie, I think it's impressive that you were able to do it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Anyways, let us know if you see it.
Bye.